Our guest, Nate Jorgensen, who is watching this and wondering what the hell he's doing here. Good morning, Nate. I apologize for all of that.
Good morning. I say that every day with a lot of situations.
What the hell am I doing here? And now, all of a sudden, if you try to communicate with me, don't bother because my computer screen on the left side is not coming up.
Oh.
And I have absolutely no idea why. So, Godspeed, John Glenn. So, anyway, welcome to the show. Mr. Wendell, as always, good to see you again. You went to the Michigan game, Michigan, Minnesota.
I did, kind of a non-event.
God, you take your pillow?
I did. Well, it was fun.
I didn't think Minnesota was going to be that bad.
No, they're not good. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry, I have to chime in.
Yeah.
When will Minnesota admit that firing Glenn Mason was not a good move? When does that press release come out?
I don't know. They somehow, that's another example of a school that views themselves much higher up in the hierarchy than they actually are.
Wisconsin is always good every year, and you know why? Because they do the same thing every year. They grind it out. They don't try to be the run and shoot.
Well, they are this year, sort of, with that quarterback.
But they have the base around it. Iowa is
right.
another good example, I think.
Yep.
They are Iowa.
And they know their capabilities, and they don't try to go beyond them.
Minnesota gave SC, I know SC's not the greatest football team in the world, but they gave SC a tussle.
Yeah, that's true.
There.
The other thing is their coach has gone through a lot of health problems. He was on the sidelines last week. But, you know what? I haven't really been there since they completed the new addition to the stadium.
Is that the first game you've gone to since you and I went to the Oregon game?
No, I went to Penn State game in the rain 2 years ago.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
And I didn't go last year, which is rare. I usually go to a game. But with it enclosed the way it is, the student section is just got it together. It's pretty interesting. It's a good atmosphere.
Probably a lot louder now that it's more closed in, right?
That's right. Yeah. The sound doesn't just fly out at the top of the stadium. But it's a good atmosphere. I went there mostly because my daughter, 8-year-old daughter, wanted to see a game.
Yeah, good experience.
Oh, yeah.
Saw a lot of football. Well, a lot of
Why don't you stay the whole game? We were questioning whether she wanted to do that.
Who did she go with? You made me stay to the bitter end of that stupid Oregon game. We're not leaving until there's no time.
Right, that was brutal. That was brutal.
Tell us who you're with there, Nate.
I just started my own business, Curiosity Creative.
Right.
I am 2 days old as a business.
Really?
Yes.
So you are truly a newborn.
Newborn, yep.
Why did you want to do such a foolish thing and get into an entrepreneurship thing?
I am crazy.
Yeah.
And I even say that on my website as a selling point. I am not your average human being. When my mind gets going on something, I cannot stop my mind. And so sitting at a desk and doing the average work is a little bit more torture for me at times than the average person, I think.
Former assistant sports information director at Miami of Ohio.
That's right, yeah. 3 years ago, right before my wife and I moved up here, I was there.
Really?
So, yep.
Right. Well, how did you get into that? I mean...
I went to Michigan State, studied communication.
Why can't you vet the guests?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
He's got this bias against MSU. Just
I
work
do
your way
not
through.
know. We love our sport.
Well, I went to Michigan Stadium 3 weeks ago, and I got some good studying in during the game because it was so quiet in there. So
there you go. So we'll find out how noisy it is the week after next, won't we?
Yes, we will. Indeed, you do.
In Spartan Stadium.
So you went to Michigan. What did you major in?
Communication.
All right. So you became the assistant SID over there at Miami.
Yep.
And you were the SID before that, Sports Information Director at Defiance College.
Yeah, I was at Defiance and Adrian College before that, two small schools. I was the main person, and then I was the assistant at Miami.
And so you did everything at Defiance.
I did. I was a one-man show.
Where is Defiance?
Defiance is actually about as close to Michigan as being in Michigan as you can be and being in Northwest Ohio.
Now, how did you end up in Michigan? Do you or your wife, are one of the two of you from here, or both of you?
I'm from the Grand Rapids area. I'm from Greenville, Michigan.
Yep, the flannel capital.
Yeah.
Wait, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Greenville High School, the Yellow Jackets.
The Yellow Jackets, right now you're way ahead of me. Did you play ball?
I did. I played basketball and football. Yeah. I did not win a home football game my entire high school career. So
really?
To give you an idea of my athletic prowess.
Well, it's a team sport. There may have been other problems on that football team.
No, well,
they had to study too, you know.
Right, yeah, and I went to Michigan Stadium to do it.
All right, so what is your business? What do you focus on?
My business is I am a one-person creative agency, I think you could say. You have, the big businesses work with a big firm that does their creative work, their graphic design, their marketing. I have all of those skills from my previous employment, working 80 hours a week in athletics and working up against deadlines. I know how to get stuff done very quickly, but still creatively. And so I can fill that role for business of any size.
Wow,
and any,
you're
and
hired.
any budget. All right.
Wow, that was quite it's quite the pitch.
It's
that
my
was
elevator
good.
pitch.
Yeah, that's very good.
Okay, so what kind of business will hire you? Somebody that doesn't want to hire that position themselves might want to outsource to you? Or is it a particular situation or area of expertise you could help with? Is it web development? Is it an overall marketing plan?
That's
or,
a good
or
point.
all of that.
It is.
The answer is yes.
Yes, I'll do it. And I have the Chamber. I worked at the Chamber of Commerce for 2 years as their communication coordinator in Traverse City, and they are actually my first big client. I still do the creative work for the Chamber with their publications and website and email marketing and all of that. And I can fill that role for a typically a bigger company, not big as it comes to small business, I guess you could say, who can't afford a full-time person, but could in a way job share that out to me, and I can manage several accounts that way. Or as a small business just starting up, if you're making furniture, if you're if you're a taxi service, you don't know how to do websites, you don't know how to do publications or graphic design, logo design, I can set you up with a package that'll get you started. With all of that.
Now, what led you up to this? What said to you, okay, I gotta go into business for myself?
When I left Miami University and came up here, my wife got the job as the director of T-Bays, Traverse Bay Area Youth Soccer.
Oh, okay.
She's a soccer coach by trade, and so we came up here 3 years ago, and I did not obviously have a job when I first came up, and that's when I first started thinking, maybe I can work remotely, and maybe I can do some projects for people and work out of my house. I got a job right away when I got up here. I worked for the Beach Bums for a year. I then got the job at the Chamber. And so I kind of flowed right into that, and I wasn't really taking it all that seriously to start my business, but I just had this nagging urge.
Right.
I had the entrepreneurial spirit. I had the bug. I read about every entrepreneurial book you can read.
He has.
I can shuffle them off. So I almost became obsessed with it as another one of my unhealthy obsessions of the many.
Well, and doing the whole sports information director gig, the assistant SID thing, or whatever.
Talk about an off-the-charts work ethic you got to have for that.
Because that's a lot of balls in the air.
It is insane. It is. I say on my website too. It's 80 hours a week, and that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
You work. I would go in typically at 5 in the morning and work till 7:30 at night on an easy day.
And what does an SID normally do?
A sports information director. It depends on what sport you're working with. If you're working with the football team at a Division I university, you're managing a bunch of media. You are setting up interviews. You are putting together a couple notes here and there to help the media out. All those interesting facts that the announcers say when they're on the air, they don't just know those. Those all come from a sports information director. There's a lot of hardworking people that are researching those notes. A lot of times, as starting up, I ended up working with sports like soccer, field hockey, ice hockey, and they're all a blast to work with. And you're putting together everything, game programs, you're doing the website, you're doing the press releases after games, you're doing the roster on the website, you're doing bios for individual players, you're updating those bios. So that's where my work background comes from. I was juggling all those things at once for multiple sports. And while I was at Miami, actually, we were down a couple staff members, so I was filling in a couple different locations. And so that's where I really kind of got the feeling like, wow, I can almost handle anything to an extent.
You pretty much had just about everything thrown at you.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and there's a lot to produce, but you also have to be very accurate in that situation, too, because you'll get called on. There'll be people that will realize if there's an error, any type of program or press release.
Absolutely. When you have fans involved of any sport, as we've already talked about here, they'll jump on anything, and especially opposing schools.
All right. How did you get ready to be in business for yourself? What did you do in the lead up? You talked to some folks, or you got ready? What did you do to get ready for this?
Well, working at the Chamber definitely helped. Like I said, I had the bug before, and then meeting everybody that I met through the Chamber of Commerce was just unbelievable. Being a part of the small business celebration and things like that, when you get to know those people with all those successful businesses like Great Lakes Stainless or Fast Fitness or Right Brain Brewery around here, then you meet them and you realize that they're great, nice people, and they're, you kind of start to relate to them, and you start to think, hey, I can do this. I'm crazy too. Maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And so that was part of it. And then once I started getting more serious about it, I started talking to SCORE because I knew all of the counselors from working at the chamber, but they'll counsel anybody. And the SBTDC, I worked with Meg there, and it is just unbelievable. Like, when I got there and I was talking to her, I was like, where's the line outside your office? She's an MBA, works for you completely for free as your startup, and I'm like, why don't I have to wait in line to do this?
Right.
Because we triage so well. No, and that's a good point. That we talk about this every week, Vic. There are a lot of people that just don't know these groups exist.
Right.
SCORE's another one. It's both Petoskey and Traverse City have excellent SCORE groups. And these are services and expertise that, if you wanted to go out and buy, would cost you a tremendous amount of money, but they're free.
Yeah, and that's one we talk about it over and over again. One of the things we always say is, God, you're just crazy if you just don't give them a phone call, walk in, and just talk to them a little bit.
But see, Nate was astute enough not to just work with one group, but with both. So he's got both perspectives, I think, based on the kind of help. When we were just talking about this before we got back on the air, I was asking where he was in the process, and we were trying to figure out, okay, there's somebody good with SCORE, for example, that he can talk about setting up a good bookkeeping system or accounting system. And this happens not just here, but Petoskey and the other towns we work in, Cadillac and Manistee. But folks just have to be aware of it. I was in a meeting last night where they were talking about small business owners complaining they just didn't have enough help. And I thought, boy, they're not being resourceful enough, I think. So Nate's a great example of somebody that's done that, and I think it's really helped you get a good start. You must feel pretty confident about where you are at this point in time.
I do, absolutely. I'm really excited.
Nate Jorgensen's in studio with us this morning. Curiosity Creative, small business focus with our good friend Chris Wendell from the Small Business and Technology Development Center. Let's step aside, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This is the Vic McCarty Show. Nate Jorgensen's in studio with us. Welcome back to the show. I was going to ask you, how are things going, but you're 48 hours old, so...
Yeah.
Well, I could still ask you, how are things
Well, he's got
going?
his first client. He's got some others in the hopper.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And even on Monday, I had a meeting already with the client, sat down, gave him a plan, and he kind of turned to me at the end and he goes, you could charge me way more than you're charging me for this. And so
Done.
So there's the trick. You're talking about it already. It's either finding the work or doing the work. So do you think that will be difficult to balance sometimes?
Yeah, and that's kind of the rule that I've heard in the past, and it is good advice that you should do one or the other, and I am trying to do both right now, and that'll show over time, I'm sure.
Any challenges or things you've run into in the beginning, just trying to get this rolling, that you didn't anticipate?
The challenge that I'm at right now is trying to get all of my bookkeeping in order and get all of my taxes set up and everything like that. That's where I just don't have a natural ability in that. So I'm trying to get far enough along to where I can feel comfortable hiring that out. I'm not going to do what I'm not comfortable with. So that's the one challenge that I have right now.
Do you have the ambition to eventually have other people working for you, or are you pretty comfortable just making this a one-person based business?
Yeah, I'm definitely a one-man show,
Okay.
and that's my model. Unfortunately, I'm not a job builder, but hopefully I can help a lot of other small businesses be a job builder.
You can be the catalyst for their job creation.
You talk about doing the accounting stuff and all that. What did you do? I mean, obviously, not everyone could do everything. So what did you do in that area?
I'm getting my QuickBooks set up right now, and my wife, who has a bit of a financial background and an executive background in her role, she's helping me along with it. So she works cheap.
Good.
And you're working out of the house?
I am.
Yeah.
I
Do you
am.
have kids?
No, not yet.
So that makes it a little easier. But working out of the house has its own challenges. I know I do that about half the day, and I've gotten into a bit of a routine with it. But that does present some challenges, right?
Yeah. If it's an informal day, it's me and my boxers.
Right.
If it's
if it's a dress-up day, it's you and your
sweatpants.
boxers. Sweatpants.
Yeah, just in case.
Right. Yeah. But you also have to when you meet clients and things. What does that usually happen at the house?
Yeah, I'm on the road for that. That's a road game.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's kind of the dynamic these days. And with a good website, your company can appear to people looking at it online to be much larger than it actually is too. So it's all a matter of perception, I think. But the other thing we've talked about quite a bit, Vic, in the last few weeks and months, the number of people who have home-based businesses that are using their expertise, but starting on a really small scale, without a lot of tremendous number of overhead costs. I mean, you could have gone out and rented an office, but bootstrapping, doing things the right way, you probably thought it was smart just to be at home, right?
Absolutely, and that could come down the road if I need a meeting space, but that's exactly it. My startup costs were actually already covered. I had a Dell laptop, and I had some Adobe programs, so those are the programs I use for the design end and everything. So nothing beyond that, and that helped make me comfortable about it.
Okay.
Nate Jorgensen in studio with us for Small Business Focus, Curiosity Creative. So in a year, where do you want to be?
I would love to be at a point in a year where there's a line out the door waiting for the creative work, and to have some of those larger clients built up. And I say large, I'm thinking of a place with like 10 employees that just doesn't have that communication person or marketing person, but like I said before, can have a share of one. So to be at that point, I'm not looking to own a house on Old Mission Peninsula. I'm looking to just enjoy what I do and help people grow.
Now, of course, in working at home, being your own boss, you have to set some parameters, especially with the bride, on how much Nate's going to be working.
Yep, and I'm an early riser. I'm a 5:30 person. I wake up at 5:30. I get right to work then. And I try to get a whole bunch of work done by about this time of the day. And then start kind of hitting, emails, phone calls, and stuff like that. So you almost get a full day of work in before you have to get caught up on the past stuff.
CuriosityCreative.com is a good way to find out more. How else can people get a hold of you?
I'm on Facebook, obviously, Curiosity Creative. I'm on Twitter at Curiosity Create, of course, with that limit. And I do a blog on my website that I blog every morning just about what's on my mind, and especially as it relates to marketing and creative work. There's a lot of good books out there, like Chris talked about before. So I just blog about the first thing on my mind. I criticize a lot of stuff that I see, which is always fun, and I'm open to suggestions. So
he has very humorous and timely and relevant Facebook and tweets. Yes. Facebook comments and tweets. We talked about the Maryland. You had one great one about the Maryland football helmets.
When the Maryland team had their pro combat jerseys, I said that perhaps the Miami players mistaken them for yachts and started how would I say this on the air?
Ladies of the evening?
Yeah, started looking for their booster to bring some ladies of the evening to the events. I'm sure Randy Shannon didn't know anything about it, though.
Dave Jorgensen in studio. Thank you very much. Curiosity Creative.
Thank you.
Facebook and also on the World Wide Web. Our good friend Chris Wendell, Small Business and Technology Development Center. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're shooting for Moomers for next week.
All right, excellent. All right, coming up next, Frankfurt Film Festival. We'll be right back.
Vic McCarty. First of all, you're throwing too many big words at me. Okay, now, because I don't understand them, I'm going to take them as disrespect. Watch them now.
1270 AM and now on 92.1 FM, WMKT.